news is normally, when I do any finance presentations, the first slide I put up is 1001 tax-saving tips, right? Just to really get people excited. But I know it says funding and finance. I have focused on funding because I really didn't believe that at 3:30 on the graveyard shift, anyone really wanted to discuss depreciation of assets, right? But before I start, I don't know, you've all been making notes today, and so have I, right? I'm just going to read it because otherwise I'll forget. So it started well for me. So obviously James on the socials said post on LinkedIn. Bang, I do that. And I do a video every week, and everyone tells me they keep seeing me now. I only do one video a week. So that was good. Pretty much went downhill after that, right? Amanda said no hoodies. She said don't employ people. Damn, I'm the only one in the room employing people. Then we went on to cyber with Paul. No standard passwords. Don't show your passwords. We do that in the office because you can't get accounts of HMRC. Then Sue and Stu, didn't they? What a great duo. They did. I like that. The 5159 number. Never heard of it. I'm definitely putting on my phone. That was a really useful piece of information there. Then AI from David. I loved it. I love AI and I love automation. I'm on agents in my business already, doing jobs for me, automating stuff behind the scenes. But he did confirm that I have broken the law with some of the pictures in my presentation. So shh, keep it between us, okay? And then Sarah on networking. I am a big networker. Nadine here, I'm a member of one of her groups and other groups across Essex. And an interesting fact is that I have been published in Essex Life magazine. If you want to read about my 28 networking events in 28 days in February and what I learned from that, other than being knackered, you can buy the magazine and read that. Or you can wait a month and we'll read it on my website once I'm allowed to publish it on my website. But anyway, here we go. Let's go. Right. So, like I said, I'm going to focus on funding. So apparently you're supposed to start a presentation with a provocative question, an interesting fact, or a story. And it really helps if one of them three relates to your topic you're talking about. So I've managed that just. Sorry, Nadine, I was trying to say. So up there, you might not be able to see it, and you'll obviously get the slides. Basically, these are the birth and death rates of companies. So you've got companies that were born in 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, and when they die. Okay? And the thing that is startling is this column over here is pretty much after 5 years 60% of businesses fail. Okay, so where are we? Probably this line here, right? Good news, you're all failing. In 5 years time you won't be doing the job you are, apparently, because AI is going to get you, but that's a stark reality, and that's really consistent. Okay, so there's my interesting fact, hopefully. Next question is, why am I standing here? Who am I? Why should I listen to this plonker who's an accountant, apparently, that turned up in a hoodie and jeans and trainers? So I'm James Bennett, and I think I've been harshly done today. This is my first day in the job. Not being an accountant, luckily, but being a member of the consortium, and they put me on last, right? So I've had to watch every experienced person do a presentation today who've done their presentations hundreds of times, and then it's me last, right? So I think I've been hard done by that, Graham. Is that you? Or Sarah? Yeah, nodding and laughing. Anyway, so I'm a chartered management accountant. That means I'm a forward-thinking accountant. I don't sit in a dark high street office and tell you how much your tax return is. I've actually worked in business. I've worked for construction companies and banks, investment banks, before I left the city to start J-Benn Finance. That's a full service accounting practice. So we do your tax returns. We do all the things that keep you legal, but we also like to work with businesses to help them grow. Hence the funding, help forecasting, budgeting, supporting those businesses with financial advice and strategy and things like that. I also run accountability. So we've got a program where business owners meet with us once a month. The honest truth is I do nothing other than host a meeting. Business owners tend to know what's wrong with their business and they know what they need to do right, but they just don't have the accountability to take those tasks on. So sitting with me once a month for an hour, they get them done, funnily enough, and their business improves. And I've got case studies and examples if you do want to see it. And then finally, I'm a business speaker, aspiring, so you can kind of judge that after this thing, right? And that's kind of trying to show that I genuinely am there. I have some logos and bits and pieces, right? So we're going to focus on funding, and I get asked this question a lot. New businesses come up and go, right, I've got this great idea, I've got this business, I need some money for it. Unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily easily work like that, but there are sources and there are ways, but you need to prepare yourself for it and some of the easy questions. So straight from the bat, before you go looking for any funding, what's the goal for funding? So are you starting up? Are you looking for working capital? Are you hiring? Are you doing R&D? Or are you scaling, right? Why you want the funding, what the goal is for the funding, you need to understand and have an idea of. Then you need a need. So how much do you need? You know, a lot of people go, I need 100 grand. Oh, right, okay, what for? And then they stop, right? So actually some science behind it. And then the most important, for those people you're getting the funding from, how much am I getting back and when am I getting it back? Right? So just bear in mind those three high-level things that you should have in your mind when you're thinking about looking or searching for funding, okay? Next, where am I going to get that dosh from, right? I want that money, I want my business, right? And it really falls into three categories. And we can get very technical and I can go into my old banking world, but I'll save you from that boredom. But ultimately, you've got government support. So there is national government, local councils, unitary councils, charities, agencies that work on behalf of governments that have pots of funding that come from different areas, and you can apply for them. And guess what? Pros and cons for all of these, okay? So pros is some of the government funding tends to be grants. Best type of funding, right? Take the money, haven't got to pay any of it back. Woo! No one takes anything, yeah? They normally also come with support attached to it. So a lot of the time you'll go startup funding and then you'll get a business mentor, you'll get some help, which is great. They can try and lead you on the way on your business journey. And also if you get government funding, it tends to give you some element of credibility because you'll go through some kind of program or some kind of thing that you can put on your website and say, look, I started with this, NatWest Business Growth or something like that is out there, and that can support you there. The downsides, the drawbacks, is competitive. Anyone giving a grant away, everyone's at the door looking for that grant money, aren't they? Because effectively you're getting given the money and you don't have to pay it back. So everyone wants that. Eligibility and conditions. So much of it comes in little boxes of it's got to be for this or you have to be that and you have to fit through. I always think about, what's that? I can't remember what that program was where they had the polystyrene things and you had to make the shapes. No? You never seen that? There's a game show and you fell in the water if you got hit by it, no? Yeah, but I just think that there's so many different bits of funding out there and different remits, like it has to be in this location or you have to be this structure or it has to be to deliver this. And we work with a couple of community interest companies supporting their funding bids and things like that and writing the finance side of their things. And it's very specific and prescriptive sometimes. And then the approval process, because it's government money somewhere along the line, tends to be pretty onerous approval process to finally get the money. So if you've got a great idea today and you want government funding, you might not get it for 6, 9, 12 months, right? So it's not, your idea might be gone, right? If your idea is AI, it's just changed, right? Then you've got equity. So again, there's lots of ways to cut and dice this. But ultimately, if you think of your business as a cake, you're given a slice away, right? You're given a slice of your business away for some amount of money. And the good on that is obviously you've got a bunch of money that turns up for that slice of cake, and you tends to the people who have got the money and want a slice of your cake or your business. They tend to be experts in the market, have run businesses before, or they're experts and they can bring a lot to your business. Okay? Again, credibility is one of the things that can come with it. If I'm not from Tendring, but say there's a significant business person, you'll probably know some of them that have got lots of businesses or stuff. If they've invested in your fledgling business and you go to talk to potential clients or stuff and they know that they're part of your business, that gives you some credibility. That person may be able to open a door for you to a new sale that you wouldn't have had that door open, but because that person's got a piece of your business, you've got a bit more credibility with it. Okay. The cons on that side, obviously you've lost some control, right? You had 100% of your cake, you've now got 90, 70, 50% of your cake, right? You've lost some of that. Yeah. You've also potentially got conflicting visions. So I see that very often when people come to us and go, yeah, I'm starting a business, I'm going to be the operator and this person's going to be the investor and we're going 50-50. And I instantly start shaking, going, oh my God, I've seen this before. And they go, yeah, don't worry, he's just putting money in or she's putting money in and I'm going to operate it and I'm going to make all the decisions and everything. And then it starts, and then that person that put the money in, the person who's put no money in and is operating the business, now making the decisions of how to spend that money. And it's amazing when the money goes in the bank account, how this person who was going to be a silent partner, not interested, is very interested how they're spending the money and starts putting their nose in and they start falling out and they have conflicting visions on where they want to go or what they want to do. And there are ways round managing that 50-50 split. And we instantly talk about that straight away before we even get as far as looking at, like, you want me as your accountant, you want me to do your accounts or anything like that. We'll pull it back and go, what happens if you fall out? You know. Then the final one is you've got obviously debt. So that is effectively you owing someone, your business or you owing someone money. And that comes with repayments and an interest on top, fundamentally. However you structure it, that's what you end up with. The pros, obviously, is you retain control. Still got my whole cake. I'm happy, right? I don't like cake though. You've got predictable repayments. So from the outset, when that person gives you the money, you've agreed, I am going to pay you X amount over X amount of period, and I know what I'm doing. Obviously, you've got to meet them, right? You also build credit history. So if you go to a bank or a third party to get that, you're going to build some credit history with your business. Because we talk from an accounting point of view, like, you're one legal entity, and if you open a limited company, that's a different legal entity. They're two different people from legal things. And as you've got a credit history, you've got to build your business's credit history. Okay? The cons on there, you've got an interest cost. Okay? Equity, you don't get it. Grants, you don't get it. But in debt, you've got to pay more money than you borrowed. Okay? And it's from day one, unless you negotiate a nice 12 months, 18 months, whatever, interest-free period. But most of the time, you've got to start paying that back straight away. Security or personal guarantees. You will be potentially asked, if you've got a fledgling business and you go to a bank to ask for a loan, the bank's going to go, well, this business has got nothing. It's worth nothing. Why am I going to lend it money? You, the owner, well, you've got money. I want you to guarantee that debt of your business. That's pretty common. We've got, without giving my client away, I've got a client who turns over £1 million and is a solid 6-figure profit margin. And we went to get a photocopier, one of those big photocopier things that does everything. They're worth 1,500 quid. And they wanted a parental guarantee from him, a personal guarantee for him for a £1,500 printer. And he's got 100 grand profit plus in his business. So we're like, no, thanks. We're not going to do that. We'll just go buy the printer ourselves. You know, but it's an instant hoop to jump through. And sometimes most people might just say, yeah, that's fine, don't worry. But that comes back to bite you if you've taken out a 5-year contract and you've got to pay that contract for 5 years and your business goes bust because 60% of you are going bust before 5 years. Okay? And then you've got qualifications, right? So you might, you've got, for that business loan, if you go to a bank, they might want to see 3 years accounts. If you've got a new business, you're not going to have 3 years accounts. So there's hoops you've got to jump through as well when it comes to debt financing regularly. Okay? So that's where we can get the dosh from. There's dosh out there. We've just got to jump through the right hoops, right? So once you know the goal, the need and the return, and you've got that in your mind, you can now sort of choose which 3 you wanted to go down, and then the route you go down to choose will depend on how you are investor ready. And I know I've been to many of these and I've sat in your seat and people have talked about a business plan and it needs to be amazing and it needs to be this. And I've seen business plans from 2 pages up to 90 pages, right? I would never advocate a 90-page business plan that's beautiful and thing. Because as soon as you press save and close it on your computer, it's gone, it's history, right? It's old news, right? But you need to have, if you're going to go and ask someone for money or some entity, you need to have some idea of what your business is doing and what your business plan looks like. We've got some of the key headings there. You know, even if it's just a short summary, it makes you think about your business. It makes you consider who the people are, What's your SWOT analysis on it? Have you done market research? What do the finances look like? How are you actually going to deliver that product, right? Where are your bottlenecks, right? If it's you on your own, how can you do everything, right? Because they're questions that the investor's going to ask, or the debt person, the person giving you the loan is going to ask. Okay? Clear financials. We've all seen Dragon's Den, and that's pretty much like going for financing on steroids, right? But it's serious in that you should know roughly what profit you're going to make if things all go right. You should know your margins, right? I find it amazing that people don't know their margins. How can you sell a product and not know how much profit you're going to make off that product? You're in business to make money, otherwise you're going to go bust like the 60% that we put at the start. So I know most business owners, when I get a new client come to me and they go, I'm going to start this business, I go, that's amazing. You know, you've got 2 jobs, right? And they're like, what do you mean? I go, well, you've got the job you're doing, like making widgets, and you're really good at making widgets. And you've got this job over here that's called admin, HR, sales, finance, and running your business. And they go, yeah, don't worry, I'm going to do that at the weekend. Or I'm going to do that on Friday. The amount of times I've heard, don't worry, I'm only going to work 4 days a week and not do Friday. Right? Don't happen, because someone gives you a big, fat, juicy business or some money to do work on Friday. You go, yeah, I'm going to take that, because I don't know when that next paycheck's coming. And then the admin, the HR, the finances and everything gets left. And then suddenly it's out of control. So you do need to have a handle on your finances, whether you like it or not. And I would say that being an accountant, you need to have a handle on your finances. You need to accept that I'm not good at numbers is not an answer. No one's going to invest in you if you go, I'm just not very good at numbers, right? But if you have the key numbers, that's all you need to know. Then the other thing that we see is use of funds. So you can go and see on my LinkedIn where I was, but I was at a magazine that was pre-COVID, magazine that was distributed in tube stations. And I got brought in to effectively be the finance director, and they were literally, we were putting together, oh dear, I'm dead. I was asked to put together the pitch deck because they were going to pitch for money from lastminute.com. So this lastminute.com, we're going to put £600,000 into this magazine to take it from a paper magazine that was in the tube, digital, to events and digital and stuff like this. We had the pitch book done, we had the forecast done, we'd had the first meeting, and lastminute.com were like literally metaphorically had their finger over the button to move that money, and it wasn't fraud, they got the right bank account details. And then they were due to pay on the 24th of March 2021, I think, which was the day after COVID and the shutdown, at which point they didn't press the button and that finance went overnight. We've run out of battery, have we? One of the things that the last minute were really keen on, they were going, we're giving you £600,000, right? A lot of money to change this thing. How are you spending that money? And when are you spending that money? So one of the big bits that we went to the first meeting and they wanted us to follow up with was a chart of that money, where we were spending it, like down to like the nth degree, like on staffing, how much you're going to pay your finance director, how much you're going to pay your salesperson, what are you putting into events, when, and the timeline of when you're going to spend that. Because if that timeline of funds is like 12 months, why do you need all the money now? Lastminute.com want us to take that 600 grand, spend it and get a return for them as quick as they can. So that use of funds has to be a real key one as well. So know your metrics, know your numbers, but then know how you're going to spend the money. Because spending that money, you're going to get a return off. And if you delay spending it, the return's going to be delayed. Okay? The last one down here, because luckily I've practiced, was exit, right? And that really isn't for you, but you should be thinking about it, right? We are in Essex, and I am a massive, massive fan of a guy called James Sinclair. And if you do not listen to his podcast, I don't want to know you, but he always says you're building a business with it to sell it in mind, even if you're not going to sell it, right? So you should always have an exit plan for your business if it's a real business. But your investor wants to know the exit plan. They want to know how you're getting rid of them. So are you going to buy that equity back? Are you going to pay that debt back earlier if you've got more cash, right? They want to know, and they want to know a timeline, right? They're simple things that they just want to ask. It's not it's not a difficult, but it gets forgotten because it's not you, right? You want the money, you want to go and spend it, you want to go and do your business. But you've got to sit on the other side and think about what your investor wants or the bank wants. So while James is trying to do that, luckily, I'm well prepared. I am such an accountant. The next slide has, if you imagine it, it's got me on the beach. No, it hasn't got me on the beach in Sweden. It's got common mistakes up there. So I've got 4 common mistakes that we see, and I've been part of as well. So, you live and learn, don't you? And actually, this is good because this is a slide that I've plagiarised with pictures. So I'm not in trouble for this. So the first one is chasing the money too early. So we've talked about going through those steps, the need, the requirement, and then your exit or your return, running that too early, right? And going too soon and chasing that money too soon and not having the answers. So you knock on someone's door.
This is the slide.
That's it. Oh, so I'm ruined. So
Apologies, I'll do this.
My glamorous assistant. So